What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. All right, it is the second day of July. We're moving right underway with this month here. We've had a little bit of volatility to start off the day. It doesn't look that severe, but man, if you're looking at the short-term stuff, we actually just had a wicked wick to the downside, then recovery, all in like a 5-minute span. It was crazy. 22 hours, 26 minutes left in the day here. 105.6K is the price. We have hit this zone that we were looking to find support at from a low to a high, right? Whether I take this high and it's at 104.6, or I take this high, it's at 104.3 at the low end, and then this 105.8K area that we were projected to hit. I was hoping that we'd find support off the 236. But we didn't. We came down below it. Typically, in this kind of situation, I would expect that we do go to the 382, which again, I don't know how I would draw it. There's a lot of sense to be made that this would be the high that you draw from. But if you drew it from this high, 104.6, 104.3K, it's also pretty typical to go below the 382. So either one could work. It's very possible. And then also, Bitcoin's been so squirrely lately, you guys. Been so abnormal with its behavior with the fibs. That, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we found support right here. There could be some front running going on. I feel like there is a lot of front running going on, and just where we are in the RSI, this is actually an area that Bitcoin does like to recover from, typically. We can go lower. Overall, looking at this daily RSI does make me think we want to go lower, but then looking at the price action, what we're doing here, I feel like this is a bear trap. We didn't get a lot of volume, right? On a daily time frame, here's Coinbase, sub-average volume. This average, you can see what the average is, right? It's like a moving average, like a line, except it's this histogram. You can see it, right? The shaded area. You see how there's bars that are above the shaded area? The average is taken from 45 days, so a month and a half, right? People are like, why 45 days? Is there any significance to that? A month and a half. That's the significance. I figured that's a good average to take from, a month and a half's worth of price. And in the last month and a half worths of candles, you didn't even see above average volume over the last 2 days, but those look like above average moves, right? This is clearly an above average move, and the bigger moves are definitely to the upside, but compared to like the standard candle throughout this range, those are definitely some bigger moves. They're not really that big, right? 1% to the downside, 1% to the downside, but not a lot of volume. Not a lot of volume. Sub-average volume for above-average moves. It doesn't really, to me, make sense that we would continue going down at least too much, right? And this is what I mean by I say the RSI looks bearish, but the price tells me a different story. The RSI does allow, we could go, we're in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows, the whole thing, right? Or are we in a downtrend? That's the thing, too, and I was late to the draw on this, on, I forget what crypto it was. Maybe it was Bitcoin on, like, the 1-hour time frame. I was late to the draw on this, but here we are, actually breaking out of this downtrend. We might be in a position to bounce here, and typically with downtrends in the RSI, typically, not always, you get into the oversold zone, you finish it with some bearish divergence, that's what finishes your downtrend. You turn it into somewhat of a sideways trend before you begin your uptrend, right? That's kind of how it is. But sometimes, and it's less common, but in bullish circumstances, we definitely had a very bullish reading here. This is a bullish level to find support if we're not even getting oversold, but we're getting that deeply overbought. In bullish circumstances, you can turn your downtrend around and turn it into a sideways trend without even getting oversold, and then you turn it into a bull trend. We literally saw that, I think, on the 1-hour time frame with Bitcoin earlier this week or like a week ago. I think it was up here, like something like that, right? We were projected to go down. The downtrend wasn't quite in the overbought zone. Let's look at it on the 1-hour time frame here. Right, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, it is definitely this one. Downtrend, sideways. It kind of looks just like what we have now on the daily, except we haven't seen this yet. And that, it didn't promote too much, but it did take us to higher highs, relatively speaking. 1-hour time frame is less significant than the daily time frame, right? It kind of looks the exact same. This, tell me if I'm crazy, right? Does this not look similar to what we've got going on here? Let me circle it to what we had going on here. Like, does it not look similar? And I've been doing this for 9 years, so maybe I just have a better eye for it, or maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see, but I feel like they look similar, and behavior typically does reflect sometimes. Like, I don't know if you guys know what fractals are, but like you'll see a similar pattern take place on a small term time frame or on a small scale, and then it gets bigger, or a big time frame, a large scale, and then it gets smaller. Fractal patterns, if you know what I'm talking about. Same thing with like psychology. I feel like it works maybe in like a fractal of the way that the indicators work in themselves. I don't know, man. I'm just talking at this point, but all that to say, it's the second day of July. We very well could go lower, and if we do, how much lower are we going to go? What, 104.6, 104.3? Go down to 101K. I doubt we go below this low. I really doubt we go below this low. And really, however low we go, I mean, that could have been it. Today, that could have been it, genuinely. We moved down with the purpose in the first like couple hours of the day, and we're seeming to come up right now. I mean, if we look at this, we'll get into short-term stuff in a second. This really could be a bear trap. And we like to do bear traps before we move up, right? We like to do bear traps before we move up. Look at how wicked that volatility was in that day, right? We like to do bull traps before we move down. A little bull trap right there before we move down. That's just how it is. Before we made this little onslaught to the downside, bull trap, and then down. You know what I mean? Before we recovered, like if you acted like this was the low, it kind of is the low. This is your fake out low. Bear trap, and then up we go. On a much larger scale. Let's look at this on a 15-minute time frame because I think this is interesting what we got going on here, okay? Looking at this on a 15-minute time frame, the RSI is like shifting, right? Clearly bearish, clearly bearish. What makes it bearish? Why is it clearly bearish, C-Zar? Tell me if you see a single reading that's above the overbought zone. Do you see a single reading? No. That's all below the overbought zone. How many readings do we get in the oversold zone? And then also, if you were to look at, compare how much of a reading we get below the 50 versus above the 50, clearly it's bearish. Clearly it's bearish overall. But we're turning things around, right? We've got these higher lows kind of coming in from way back here throughout this whole like bearish trend right here. Right now, we're really starting to turn things around, okay? Rejecting the 50, 50, and we didn't get oversold twice in this area, right? Rejected here, oversold, rejected here, oversold, rejected here, oversold, rejected here, oversold, rejected here twice, and we didn't get oversold twice. It gives me a little hope. It gives me a little hope. Things could be moving up here, guys. 15-minute time frame. Look at how wicked that volatility was. We got the lower low. It's like we were breaking out of this zone, and then we just reversed immediately. We saw about average volume. That was some of the most volume we saw in a 15-minute time frame in a good little bit since like 4 hours ago, right? In that last like 4 hours of the day there. That's not that significant. We're on an insignificant time frame, but for this time frame, that is a significant move right there, and I think it could have significant bullish repercussions because of it. If we're looking at this on one, in other words, I'm looking at the RSI and I'm thinking this is bullish, guys. Where do we go up here, find some resistance, and then come up? I don't know how it's going to look, but I would kind of assume with the reactions here, we're going to be starting to shift this dynamic around. And on the 15-minute time frame, again, that's not significant. Maybe we have a bullish first 4 hours of the day or first 8 hours of the day, and then we come back down. I don't know. But you look at this on the 1 hour, low here, higher low here, bouncing right off the oversold zone. Bullish divergence right there. We're having a nice turnaround here. 19 minutes left in this 1 hour candle, and that was a major reversal from the low. I mean, we're looking to bullishly engulf down here at a kind of like double bottom with higher lows in the RSI, lower lows in the price. That's bullish divergence right there. If we take this, I'm just curious what this low to high would be. Just below the 2272. Typically in this situation, going below the 2272, I mean, it's very common. You don't find resistance right at the 2272. You go just below it, just like this. That's very common. We talk about that all the time. I don't care what time frame it is. In this case, it's the 1 hour. But then coming up here, rejecting this, and then coming back down, you would almost always go to the 2618. You'd almost always go to that extension, if not down here. And typically with a smaller range like this, you would go to those deeper levels. But the fact that you didn't, and you did the same kind of reaction off the 2272 as you did the first time, depending on how we react here, you guys, if this is a more positive reaction, it takes us further above, this could be really good. This could actually be really good. This could be the low. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense whenever you think about the overall low to high that we were looking at, right? Whenever you're looking at the low from, was it this low? Yeah, the low from June 22nd, that Sunday, right? This the end of the 12-day war. As they call it. I don't know if that's like a real thing. Like, what if that goes down in history as a 12-day war? I'm gonna be like, yeah, it wasn't a 12-day war, man. Not for America. Like it was like a 36-hour war for us. People were scared that nuclear war was gonna happen, but it wasn't. People, man, if that goes down in history, they're gonna blow that situation up way more than it needed to be. No pun intended. But from this low to high 382, it wouldn't be normal to find support in this area and revert and then come back up. But with the reaction we're having now, I wouldn't be surprised. This is a very abnormal call for me to make that we'd find support here instead of going to the 382 first. But I did that last time. I've stuck to my guns on that a handful of times over the past couple months, and for whatever reason, it's bit me in the ass. I don't know. Maybe the market makers, maybe the crypto orchestrators are aware of this 382 dynamic. They're following my channel and they hate me. I don't know what it is. Really, in situations like this, what it is that there's just too much buying pressure, not enough selling pressure, right? And it's very bullish circumstances. It's actually the most bullish thing you could do is go below the 236 like this and not hit the 382. But it's just so uncommon. But we have been seeing it a lot over the past like month or two, and not just with Bitcoin. 4-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame here, higher lows in the RSI, right? No lower lows there. You're in an area that we could expect to find support. You're having a nice reaction now. Started off the day on a bearish note. Now you're coming back up. We'll see how it goes. If you can persist, again, if this move can take you above like 106.3K, that might be the low, guys. I mean, really, probably let's up the ante a little bit there. Let's say if we can get above, if we can close today above $106.8 thousand, 106.9, why not? It's a better number. 106.9K. If we can do that by the end of today, that's the low. If we don't go lower and we do that by the end of tomorrow, that's the low. You know what I mean? So I don't care how fast we move up, but once we close above there on a daily time frame, I'd be convinced this is the low, or wherever the low might be, right? Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it looks good overall. This 4-hour RSI does look bullish. It's still, even though you got oversold here, it still looks very bullish. We'll see what our reaction is. If we get up to the 40 and we reject, well, then we're in a more bearish kind of posturing. We could get set up for some bullish divergence though, and then boom, rip and run. If we, just like how we came down here, we came out pretty fast like we did last time. If we can do something like that, we're in a very bullish environment, you guys. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Daily time frame here. RSI is right at this area you'd look to bounce from. Got a high here coming down. I mean, we're literally perfect. I mean, we can't ask for a better situation to be in right now. If today can close green and if it can persist higher, right? And if it doesn't, again, if we don't, understand, guys, and I don't believe this is going to happen, but understand we could go below this low and everything's fine. We're not in a situation where Bitcoin's in any kind of jeopardy right now, right? In fact, a move down like this would actually be a blessing. It would be a real blessing because then you just have more time to accumulate all your favorite cryptos. Whatever, we're going up. But this looks to be some type of broadening wedge, right? Bull flag, whatever you want to call it. It looks to be a broadening wedge. Typically you have 5 legs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th leg, you break out normally. So 5th leg, you would look to break out to the downside, but if you do what they call a partial decline, which is where you're reaching for that trend line, but you can't actually hit that trend line, that's actually bullish, and then you'll revert, and that 5th leg turns into a reversal, and you actually break out. So that happens a lot. That's more common in megaphones, though, but same difference. Whatever, man. I mean, and I would think that we're looking at this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Maybe it's 5 to the upside and we are breaking out to the upside. I don't know. Either way. And that's just like a rule of thumb. It's not like a prophecy. It doesn't have to happen that way, but again, go lower. I don't care. We're fine if we do. Inevitably, guys, here we are at 105.8K right now, moving up as we're talking. I just want to keep talking and watch this thing go up from a high to a low. The soothing sounds of my voice will take us to the clouds of Nye. We are going all the way up to about 130 to 140K. We're going to chill, and then we're going to go all the way up to about 150 to 160K. Maybe we'll find resistance there, and then we'll chill. And then we'll go all the way up to about 170, 190K, where we will top off and probably consolidate for the end of the summer, maybe even going into the beginning of fall. I would think that we get there. The way I have it drawn, it would have us there in September. We could get there. It could take September. If it takes till September, whatever. Again, it's just more time to accumulate. That's not a problem. But I think that this move up will actually be more robust than the last move up. So what would that do? What would that entail? From a low to a high. I mean, if that was our low right there, you can see where I'm drawing the low right there on the price. Low to high, then yeah, we're actually not going to stop at the golden ratio. I take it back. We're probably not going to stop at 140 to 130K. We're probably just going to rip right up to, because again, I do assume this move is going to be bigger than our last move. Why? Because our last move was eating back price action that we were consolidating from, right? This is going to be blue sky breakout territory along with all kinds of things, right? Along with all kinds of good things coming in July for the markets. The one big beautiful bill might be bad for America, but man, if you're invested in crypto, here's the deal, guys. Think about it this way. The country that holds the most Bitcoin in the world by population and by entities, institutions, and government standards is the United States. If the one big beautiful bill gets passed, Bitcoin's going to fly through the roof. So I know it's bad for America, but in a sense it's kind of good for America. It's just not good for anybody who's not involved with Bitcoin, which unfortunately, it's just the dodos out there, man, and the way, you know, the way of the dodos. You know, they're great birds. We love them. We love you, dodos. But man, they were not long for this world, for maybe for their own reasons. I don't know. You know, that's we can start calling them dodos. No coiners, man. They're dodos. But I don't know, man. I'm rambling at this point. I'm expecting that we get to 180 to 190K, 170K, somewhere in that area, probably around 180K in late August, not September. But who cares when it happens? It's going to happen at some point. And running with this idea that this move will be stronger, it actually makes sense that maybe by the end of July, we're at 150 to 160K, or very early August at the least. But I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. If we go down, I'm not anticipating that we go below 104K. But even if we do, cool. Who cares? And honestly, right now, I'm kind of under the suspicion with how we're acting that we're actually going to move up today. But we'll see. Take care. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. Hit that like button. Peace. Thank you. Adios.